Hi everyone, welcome to this psychology podcast where I explore the challenges we often face in our 20s, their psychological background, and how to navigate them. The goal is to better understand ourselves, our emotions, identity, personality, relationships, and the way our brains work, and in turn to better understand others. I'm Paula, and I'm a psychology student at the University of Amsterdam. I'm in my 20s myself. I'm not a professional psychologist, just so you know, and this isn't any professional guidance. I'm just exploring the journey of figuring things out myself and sharing what I'm learning along the way. So today's topic is about life transitions, what they are and what we can do about them, how we can cope with them. So I recently graduated from one university and I needed to move to another city to continue my studies. And it has been quite a change. It has been quite a transition. And I've been feeling a lot of nostalgia. I've been feeling actually a lot of also other emotions. And I thought it was just good to research the psychology behind this. I'm super interested in this topic and I'm super interested in exploring what that means for to better understand myself. That's the first episode and I'm a bit stressed, to be honest. We go for several transitions in our lives. And I know that a lot of people in their 20s can relate to this because it's something which happens to everyone. We graduate from university or we change jobs. We go from chapter to chapter. So everyone can relate to that. And that's why it's great to take a closer look at it. In psychology, life transitions are significant changes and shifts that individuals experience throughout their lifespan. And these transitions can involve change in roles and responsibilities, major life events. This change can alter your daily life, identity, sense of stability. Now, it can come with lots of different emotions. Even seemingly happy changes can trigger some harder emotions to cope with, like anxiety, sadness, nostalgia. It can trigger a wide range of emotions. So the more positive, let's say, to like happiness, excitement, relief. So why is it that finishing college or other life transitions like landing a first real job or moving out of your parents' home, living alone, moving to a new city, why is it that these transitions can feel like losing a piece of yourself or can feel overwhelming? So there's this book which is called Non-Death, Loss and Grief by Darcy Harris. And in this book, it's explained that loss can be related to death, but it also occurs when we experience some painful or disorienting event. So it doesn't have to be connected to losing, so that something was like taken from us. So for example, quitting a job, moving to a new city, or graduating, it can also evoke this sense of loss. So basically when we go for some major life transition, our brains are grieving it too, which by the way sounds kind of scary. But essentially our brains then say, wait a minute, something important is gone, or something familiar is ending. What now? And in one of the research articles that I read, by the way, all of the articles, I'm going to put them under the description of the episode. It says that loss is fundamentally any experience where it's not possible to return to life as it once was. Wow, okay. So even if it's positive, your brain notices the shift and needs to adjust. It needs to recalibrate who you are, your routines, and so on. So for example, graduating from college, let's say. Like logically speaking, it should be a moment of joy because you actually gained a diploma and not like lost a diploma or something. But while it can be so joyous and you're happy, after some time your brain still notices that a change is coming and that a chapter has come to an end and it needs to process that. It needs to process that. And what a bittersweet feeling can that be? I mean, transitions are something a brain naturally needs to process. So if something in your life has recently come to an end, whether it's a relationship, you graduated, or you closed some other chapter which you didn't expect to close, It can feel unexpectedly hard, and that's completely okay. Not all transitions are planned. Sometimes life is living. Life is living its own life. Okay, I don't know what I'm saying, but sometimes life surprises us, and that's okay to let your brain process that. It's a transition to something new and probably also exciting and fulfilling. So give yourself some time and love and take care of yourself. I feel like we often underestimate how much the identity evolves in our 20s. We are still in a very important stage of development when we are more self-aware and we need to understand our purpose in the world. We need to make much more major life decisions by ourselves than ever before. So essentially, we are constantly reshaping who we are because our roles change. Right, one day you're a student, next day you're an employee in a company. Or, I don't know, one day you're single, the other day you're in a marriage, for example. So, and that's why transitions in this decade feel so powerful. They are rewriting the story of who we are still becoming. And I find it so beautiful, especially when we can share these moments with others, like this process of shaping and enriching our identity, so to say. Because then you can also see how they have changed throughout the years. So that's quite beautiful. Also, our personalities develop across the lifespan, but most of development occurs in adolescence and young adulthood. So during our 20s, we need to adapt to many transitions, which are personal and environmental, and this can result in changes in our personality. And again, here I want to be clear that I didn't make this up, and the research papers and articles are all in the description of the episode. So how can we deal with these major life transitions? Or what can we do about it if it gets overwhelming? So here are some coping skills. One of the articles actually by Dr. Ruben Kodam, which I recently read, who is a clinical psychologist and founder of COPE Psychological Center, states that coping skills, including support networking, cognitive restructuring, problem solving, and stress management, mediate the transition's course and emotional intensity. So he proposes 8 ways to manage life transitions. And they are journaling, mindfulness, therapy, exploring a new hobby, building a support system, improving sleep hygiene, eating healthy, practicing self-care. So the first one is journaling, which is a practice of writing down your thoughts and feelings on paper. It can reduce anxiety, improve your self-awareness, and journaling focused on gratitude. So what am I grateful for today? And focusing on processing emotions. So writing down the situation and explaining in your own terms how it made you feel. And there is scientific evidence that journaling can be highly effective in relieving stress. Then we have mindfulness. So mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and aware of your current experience. So essentially, mindfulness means focusing on your internal state, such as your thoughts and emotions and what is happening in the external environment, so around you. And here, the article mentions meditation and breathing exercises, such as box breathing. So box breathing is the same as square breathing, and it's a way of breathing where you first slowly inhale for a count of 4. So for 4 seconds, you inhale, then you pause for 4 seconds, and then you exhale slowly for 4 seconds, and then you pause again. So inhale, pause, exhale, pause, and it's all for 4 seconds each. And this method of breathing can help calm us down and improve our mood, also help manage anxiety, depression, PTSD, insomnia, because it taps into the parasympathetic nervous system. And I actually recommend it a lot because I use it and it works wonders for me. It's also great for panic attacks, actually. So that's also good if you see someone who is having a panic attack. I think it's also a good strategy. Apart from obviously like knowing how to approach this person, then like recommending that they breathe with this. The third way to manage life transitions is therapy. And I agree with that 100%. So therapy will help you understand yourself better, what you are going through, it helps beyond offering emotional support in overwhelming moments. So it will hopefully also help you identify what exactly feels most alarming for you right now, or what you should focus on during this life transition. The fourth thing is exploring a new hobby. So engaging in some new creative activities contributes to better mental health. Whether it's learning a new language or snorkeling or, I don't know, cheese rolling. I recently watched this video where people are doing very original, like have very original hobbies, and also like competitions which are based on these hobbies, and one of them was cheese rolling, and I find it very interesting. So that's what came to my mind for some reason. Anyways, yeah, whatever activity you like, a new hobby. Also, when you start maybe going to classes which are connected to this hobby, you then meet people who also share this enthusiasm for this hobby with you. And that can definitely also help you feel more grounded. And it can help feel like you belong somewhere. So number 5 is building a support system. Developing connections. Come up to your new colleague at your new work, and just start a conversation. Or, as I said before, join the classes of your new hobby, or of a hobby that you actually are already doing, because maybe you don't actually want a new hobby. This way you meet new people, and it can also help. And I think, obviously, that's not easy. It takes time to develop a meaningful connection with someone, and it takes a significant amount of also effort, shared moments to create this connection that is more than just small talk and, like asking somebody about their day and what they're working on or whatever. So don't worry if you don't have that yet, because it won't happen instantly, and maybe you're new in town, new at the university, and it can feel very lonely sometimes, and that is completely okay. I mean, it's a huge thing if you think of it, because you're navigating more than just making friends. You're building a sense of belonging. So just take it one step at a time. It's also important to have at least one person you already know and trust, like a family member, a therapist, some kind of advisor to talk to and seek support in if necessary. So if you could think of one person that would support you in this situation, who would that be? One person that would support you in this transition, who would that be? Another thing that's mentioned in the article is improving sleep hygiene. So obviously quality sleep is something very important for your health and for your mood. But I also think that it's quite underestimated, like the power that it has. And I'm not gonna talk more about it now, because I feel like that would need to be a long talk. But it's really crucial for mental well-being, and establishing a consistent sleep schedule and incorporating maybe some kind of before going to sleep toolkit. Like, what do you do before you go to sleep? Do you watch your phone, or do you do something else? Like, for example, eating before sleep. It's also interesting to see how this impacts your sleep quality, sleep hygiene. Number 7 is practicing selfie. So practicing selfie. That's also something good, by the way. I'm gonna write it down now. Practicing selfie, guys. You take a selfie for every life transition that you get. The before and after selfie. Me before graduating, me after graduating. Me before the new job, me after the new job. Okay, anyways. Number 7 is practicing healthy eating habits. And actually, I have recently seen a video from Dr. I think it's Amen or Amen, at least I saw it on Instagram. So on Instagram it's DOCAMEN. So it's like Doc Amen. And he has a video where he explains, because he is a psychiatrist, so he knows obviously a lot about our brains. He explains in this video what foods can actually impact your mental health and well-being. So which foods are healthy for your brain. So Dr. Amen talks about anxiety fighting foods. And I think anxiety can be one of the emotions that's also like mostly in us when we go through life transitions. We're feeling it quite a lot then. So that would be avocados, asparagus, fermented foods, eggs, pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate, and fatty fish. So salmon, tuna, herring, and sardines. And the foods that we should actually avoid are called high glycemic foods. I hope my pronunciation is right, but that's what Dr. Amen talks about. So anything that raises our sugar level and then makes our sugar level drop significantly. I think it's about the change. Although I'm also not an expert. I think high glycemic foods generally should be avoided, and the foods that I mentioned, or like actually Dr. Amen mentioned, should be given a chance. And I also want to say that I don't think eating it just once will give significant results. It's more about maintaining it and not about waiting for spectacular results after eating all of it once. And the last thing on the list is practicing self-care. So actually, this is very general, but I think we can all agree that also journaling, which I mentioned before, doing sports, socializing, it's part of self-care. Self-care can mean a lot of things to different people, but you know best what works best for you. Is your self-care reading a book? Is your self-care journaling? Is your self-care going for a walk? Is your self-care maybe running or doing jiu-jitsu? Cheese rolling. It's up to you. As long as you feel better after doing this activity, after engaging in this activity. I also wanted to add one point from myself, which is not in the article, but I think for me personally, it helps a lot when I'm going through life transitions, because graduating is not my first life transition. And I think it's not, like, if you're listening to it, I don't think you have never been through any life transition before. So I think we have all been through some life transitions before, and maybe we already know how to cope with that. But my suggestion would be expressing the change. Okay, what does it mean to express the change? So it could be changing your hair. It could be changing your style. Maybe redecorating your room, making a vision board of who you want to be, or letting go of things that you feel are tied to an old version of yourself. Like maybe some photos which have been on your dresser for a long time, and removing them will bring you some closure. So changing something in your surroundings, or changing something in yourself, your appearance, for instance, that you feel belongs to the old chapter of your life, and now you see yourself differently and you would like to express it, that can also help. So although all of these life transitions that we are going through in our 20s and the periods of change that we are going through, it all can feel uncomfortable. It can feel overwhelming at times. And if it does feel overwhelming, please don't hesitate to reach out to someone that you trust and that you feel can support you, or to a therapist. If you feel like you need a more professional help. So there are some benefits that can come from life transitions. Life transitions can help you grow, and they open doors to new opportunities. So let's say you have changed jobs, or you have graduated from one university to, and now you're going to enter workforce. Well, that's an amazing new opportunity for you, either way. And it comes with a lot of change, like everything does in a transition. But in the end, let's try to... So life transitions can also be beneficial, can help you grow, and they open doors to new opportunities. Sometimes letting go of old routines, becoming a new version of yourself. It's something that may not be comfortable, but it's needed, it's necessary. And I think it's important to know that you're not alone in this. I think it's important to know that, especially people in their 20s, we are all in this together. But it's also nice because it encourages us to discover ourselves, our personalities, our identities more deeper. And it also builds emotional resilience. So we are learning to adapt during some uncertain times, and that actually can help us be more adept to change in the future. And let's not forget that every end is a new, fresh beginning. So let's enjoy it as much as we can. Let's take it in, take a deep breath, and just take on this new, exciting challenge. Okay, guys, that will be all for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you like this episode. If you have any comments, please don't hesitate to leave them. I am always happy to hear from you and to start a conversation, have a discussion about anything that you are interested in or curious about. So, without further ado, I hope you have a great day.